Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our morning edition of Big Brother 22 All Stars Live Feed Spoilers. This is day 4, the first Power Veto competition day of the season. Happy Veto Day!
Yay!
Prepare to be probably disappointed because that's what happens most of the time with the vetoes. You always want that like one person to get it and then it all kind of falls apart. The problem this time around, we probably want both people to win the veto, and guess what? Only one of them can.
Yeah, that is the problem pretty much with a lot of this season. There are so many fun people playing this season that we don't want to see most people go.
So, alright, this video we're going to talk about a little bit of what could be shaping up with the veto. We'll go through a lot of strategy conversations going on at the house. In particular, Kaysar trying to do a million things at once is going to be so incredibly entertaining and possibly bad for his game,
Yeah,
but
it could be.
we'll enjoy it however brief it ultimately is. But before we get into anything, if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if you want to support us more, check out the links in the description to a store, to our Patreon. We have live chats last Sunday of every month. We got a lot of different stuff going on there.
Okay, so let's start by recapping who the nominations are. And we've got Kevin and we've got Keisha. And it really sucks because we like both of them quite
Yeah.
a bit. The early target is Keisha, just in case you guys didn't hear about that. Seems to be the person that they're targeting. But we don't know who the veto players are just yet.
Yeah.
The draw should be coming sometime this morning, maybe early afternoon.
Yeah, I know everybody wants like a concrete answer. I'm like, oh, okay, this is when the veto competition's gonna go down. But the truth is, they do whatever they want with it. It's sort of like we can give you approximations.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be done at a time when we'll have plenty of opportunities to come back to discuss the players, to discuss the competition throughout the day. But let's transition over into what could be happening with it, who wants what, because Kevin obviously wants to win. He wants to save himself, and Davon seems to be very much Team Kevin, which I'm Team Davon. So if she wants to do this for Kevin, more power to her. I don't think Davon is going to suddenly become a huge threat if she wins the veto.
No.
She also seemingly would like Nicole Anthony to use the veto on Kevin as well. I don't know if I'm Nicole Anthony, though. Am I really going that far out of my way to use the veto on someone else this early?
Yeah, it's really early to play a bit that hard for Kevin unless there's really something there going on or Nicole Anthony really feels like she's in some sort of danger at this point because you're putting a target on your back.
Yeah, you're putting a big target on your back by winning a veto this early on in the game. And I think Nicole Anthony can do it. And I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, look, competition beast. Nicole Anthony is on the loose, everybody. It's like, you guys got Cody still in the house.
It's true, but then they'll think that she's working with Kevin,
Yeah.
so that really outs that.
Yeah, that's the big issue here, is that you don't want to basically do what Janelle and Kaysar have already done and be like, hey guys, we're playing together. Not that anyone was shocked that Janelle and
No.
Kaysar would be playing together.
Okay, speaking of Kevin and Nicole Anthony, it looks like Kevin tried to create an alliance with her and Ian called the Aquadorkables, which is kind of cute, I'm not gonna lie.
It's like, we're awkward, we're adorable, look at us.
Yeah, but Ian and Nicole seem kind of tentative on whether or not they really want to be part of this alliance, which makes sense. I mean, Kevin's on the block, so maybe revisit this afterwards. It is, again, it's putting a target on them for no reason to be part of an alliance right before a veto. It's just kind of bad timing, and I get why Kevin is doing this right now. He is kind of scrambling and trying to find
Yeah.
allies before the veto, but he's asking a lot on day 4.
A lot. These players are smart. They don't want to just join a named alliance so early, because then that name will end up getting spread around, and then they'll somehow end up being blamed for it. It reminds me of all like the Jessica and Bella Black Widows nonsense debate that went on last season. So you gotta be kind of careful with this. But yeah, Aquadorkables has to be. It is a fun alliance name.
Yeah, it is.
it's much better than the moving company, or we could do a whole video on just like terrible alliance names. Was it like the Regulators?
Yeah.
That group in season 13 where they were like, they lost every single person right away.
Yeah.
That was great. Okay, so speaking of alliance names, because I know a lot of people are wondering what Ian is actually doing.
Yeah, because it feels like a lot of people have floated out to want to work with Ian, and he hasn't really landed on anything. Or...
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna steal a quote from Jess here. Put on your hard hats because this is not gonna make a lot of people happy. Do not shoot the messenger here. But okay, Ian, his real alliance might be Nicole F, because they had a conversation last night, and it seems like Million Club could be the name of this. Which, by the way, I don't like Million Club as an alliance name. It sounds like something at like a country club where, you know, you go on there with like your monocle on and you're like, I can't do a monocle. I'm already wearing glasses, but
it's a little much.
I'm going into the Million Club. Would you like to join me, Ferdinand? It seems like, okay, well, is Ferdinand a rich enough name here?
Oh, I think it's pretty good.
What about you, Heathcliff? Like, I think really Million Club, but... Okay, well, I'll give you credit, because this is something that you kind of suggested a little while back, that if you are a really big player or a winner, you might want to go far into the game with another winner, and I think because Ian beat Dan, and I think he knew that nobody wanted to give Dan that win, he's probably kind of thinking with that in mind with Nicole F.
Yeah, it is something that I did mention in a couple other videos, that if you're going to the end with someone who's a winner and a non-winner, you do end up in a situation where the jury's probably not going to want to give the winner a second win. Because unless they play a perfect game or the other person played a really bad game, they're not going to do that. They're going to be like, oh, you know, Ian's already won. We'll give it to whoever's sitting over here. Let's spread around the wealth kind of thing. I do think that a winner is only going to really be able to beat another winner.
And I think Ian probably thinks that he has a good chance against Nicole Franzel, which, by the way, I think he probably has a good chance against Nicole Franzel as well, just judging from all of the Nicole Franzel drama that's already starting to surface in the house, and they don't even know all of it just yet.
So Ian also stayed up really late talking to Cody about them sort of needing to win some comps. So it looks like Ian and Cody kind of working together somewhat.
Yeah, it seems like it's possible.
Cody may go for safety next week because he's the HOH. That makes sense. You know, he's kind of circling around that. And I mean, I would if I was Cody. I mean, it really depends on who's in power. I mean, if Tyler wins next week, maybe he's not going to go for it because he feels like he's doing all right.
The funniest thing about this Ian and Cody conversation over, because there was a lot of comedy, just unintentional comedy on the feeds last night. It was that Ian was trying to have these conversations with Cody, and it was like ghastly hours of the night, and you could just tell Cody was just like, I just want to go to bed, man. Like, why are we sitting here doing this at this point?
I mean, Ian is always a game player. There is no rest for Ian. This is why he's a winner.
Speaking of people who probably should have gone to bed earlier, let's talk about Kaysar, because this is by far
Kaysar.
My favorite live feed event of the overnight, because, you know, we talk a lot about tinfoil hats here on the channel. I think Kaysar took our tinfoil hat into the house and he just like put it on, and he's just got it loud and proud. He's the living embodiment of all the like Charlie Day gifts from It's Always Sunny, where he's just like, ah, and pointing at the corkboard with all this stuff, because Kaysar's like all in now, being like, people, they think that me, Janelle, he's telling this to Janelle. He's like, me, Janelle, Keisha, and Memphis, they think we're all together now. We're a firm alliance. We gotta do something about this, Janelle. We need to go in there, gun for the veto. Aliens are landing, and okay, he's not going that far, but he is really. It's very funny that a man with like the hat that said FBI on on earlier seasons, he is like now going like full CIA/X-Files level with just like how much he thinks people are out to get them all.
Yeah, and Janelle wants them to throw it, which makes the most sense. They have safety. They were targets. Now they're not. Why make yourself a target? Like, there's no reason. Like, you got your safety. Pull back a little bit. There's lots of game to play.
Janelle is as competitive as they come. So let's think about this for a second here. We don't even need tinfoil hats. Let's just put on our thinking caps for a second here. If Janelle is telling you we shouldn't gun as hard as you want to, you should probably listen, because she would do it if she felt like it was needed.
Absolutely. And they're not really having a lot of conversations, deep conversations with Kevin and Keisha. So are they really going to put themselves that far out there while they're already targets? Just because they have safety doesn't mean that they're not going to be targets again in a few days. So they're still on the radar. This is Janelle. You're correct. Don't come for that veto, please.
I at one point during all this, Kaysar was just like, maybe we should sleep on this. Kaysar, you should have slept on this like before you started the conversation. You should have just went to bed, because Janelle is sitting here being like, it is just day 3. It is now day 4, obviously, but this is so early on in the game, and Kaysar is also just going, okay, we need to find a way to get Memphis to win this. Well, remember, we don't even know that Memphis is going to play in the veto competition, and it's just slow it down, Kaysar. You don't need to try to puppeteer everything. You're going to be voted off really early again.
And we don't even know if Memphis cares if Keisha goes home or not. I mean, he hasn't really landed anywhere in that circle at this point. So, Kaysar, you do need to slow it down a little bit. You need to actually have those conversations with Memphis and even find out where he stands on this.
Yeah, it's like this. Do I think that Memphis would be sad if Keisha goes? Probably. I mean, they played a long time together, but do I think that Memphis is going to have, like, you remember when Mr. Pictacular left on season 11 and Lydia acted as though he died and he was never going to be seen or heard from again?
It's just, Memphis is also in this position where nobody's really talking about him as a problem or a target. So if he does this, now he's on the board as a problem or a target. And I'm not saying he needs to float through this game or anything like that, but it is day 4, and we've got people who are playing way too hard, Kaysar. And then we have other people who are playing just enough where they're making the connections and they're having the conversations and things are moving along. So Memphis doesn't need to all of a sudden go from not on the board to, oh, I've won this and I'm saving Keisha and ha ha ha, Cody, because now you've made an enemy. So why?
Yeah, and there's also people that are just not playing at all. Like, I feel like this could be like an honorary award we give out. The Memorial Gin City I Am a Ghost on the live feeds. Because, like, where is David right now? Because David is just like, he's like, it is almost like he was already evicted again, because he's just got, I don't know what this got where he is. I don't know what he's doing.
No, and I was really excited to see him on the show. I understand that he was a first boot and he doesn't really fit into the all-stars, moniker of this show, but I was still very interested to see how he was going to play if he was there for more than a minute, and now he is basically a ghost.
Okay, one more thing about Kaysar losing his mind overnight, which it's incredibly entertaining. I'm going to be so sad if he goes, is that Kaysar had a conversation with Bailey where she just sort of suggested some names of people who she thought could be working together, and they just so happened to be women. Kaysar now, in his mind, has now created that there is an all-female alliance in the house. It's Kaysar, once again, slow it down. Go to bed. It's all gonna be okay.
This show just breeds paranoia. It's part of the game.
I'm not sure Kaysar is built for this, if I'm being totally honest. I think he's built for us loving him, but I don't think he's built for being in a house for like more than 80 days.
Okay, so there's also some just sort of odds and ends of other things that happened. We saw, so the whole podcast gate. So for the people out there that don't know what happened, we had Danny and Nicole F. were having a conversation about how Nicole Anthony contacted them to be on her podcast and they ghosted her. One of them opened the email and just didn't write back, and one didn't even open the email. So that was not great for them to then come into the house and be like, oh, here's Nicole Anthony. Oops. So Danny has apologized to Nicole Anthony for not responding, and not, like, this is the thing, is Nicole F. and Danny are not obligated to be on somebody's podcast. If somebody, if they want to, great. If they don't, that's okay. It's okay to say no, but just ghosting someone is, well, it's crappy. You know, you can take the 5 minutes and write an email and be like, thank you, but I'm going to pass on this opportunity. And then Nicole Anthony be like, cool, no problem, man. Let's all move on. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that she did give her an apology. And it is good gameplay as well, obviously, because if Nicole Anthony is upset about it, and I don't know that she probably is, because people get ghosted on stuff all the time.
Yeah.
That she's probably just like, she's not interested, you know, who's next? We'll keep on moving along for the podcast kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Danny also lied to Janelle about not knowing who Cody's nominations were. And it was, of course, it's a bit disappointing, because when I heard that Danny and Janelle were both on this cast together, I was like, oh, please make this happen, that these two are going to work together. I would really love to see this, but it doesn't look like this is what is happening here. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But then Danny also went and told Cody the truth, which makes sense because they're kind of working together a little bit. I mean, Nicole's working with Cody. She's working with Nicole F. That Devon and Janelle do not trust Nicole F. And she is doing a lot behind the scenes right now.
Yeah.
She is sort of trying to smooth things over here. Yeah, she lied to Janelle, but everybody lies, so that's fine. And then she's keeping her actual sort of who she's working with, you know, in the loop about things to show that she's continuing to build some trust with him. He is still HOH. Is the time to build that.
Danny is playing a really difficult game right now. If she can pull it off, it will be an incredible game, because if you can sort of balance a lot of relationships and make people feel like you're with them, like, at all times, I know that this is something, and it's 17 minutes into the video, so I feel like I can say this name now. Mm-hmm. It's something that Andy did really well on 15, is go around and try to build a lot of relations. I am not saying that Danny is like Andy, so don't even think that, but
oh my goodness, you are answering all the comments today.
No, it is just that is something that it's a very difficult game to play, to constantly make everybody think that you're with them. Mm-hmm. And if she can sort of pull it off, good for her. It's not something that is an easy thing to do, but it seems like a lot of people feel like they can trust her. And that's something that I think Tyler even tried to do to some level, but he ended up burning a lot of people. So yeah, good on her for coming clean about the podcast, just getting that out of the way. I don't know if it would have been an issue, but they can be friendly now. Nicole F., not as many conversations about the podcast. She and Devon, though, they've made amends, and they have had some sort of conversation. It could just be we're being friendly with each other conversations. They're keeping their options open.
And the last thing is just Kevin is suspecting that Janelle is controlling Cody, which is, again, that same sort of thing that I was saying about Kaysar and just the paranoia in this house. It's a really intense experience. The people who are doing this show, like, this is no joke. So seeing this happen with Kevin, you know, he is on the block. He is getting suspicious of everything. It's not too surprising that he would start to go into this kind of tinfoil hat arena where he's just like, oh man, everybody's working together. Everybody's working against me, because he did seem to be kind of surprised that he was on the block. He didn't know.
What? That is my response to Kevin at the moment. It's understandable given the paranoia, right? But people's reads are way off so far this season with a lot of different things. But anyway, that concludes our morning edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars Live Feed Spoilers. We'll be back later to discuss Veto players, prep you for the competition. And let us know what you thought about this video, what you're looking for today in the comments. And if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, support us more. Check the links in the description to the store, to our Patreon, and we will see you here next time.